Hello and welcome to another episode of Goa 365 Story Behind the Story. Now, normally in this program we take up a lot of hard issues or issues where awareness. We've taken up drugs, women's issues, disability, harder stories. But today it gives me great pleasure to anchor an issue which is close to at least my heart. These are traditionals, the traditions of Goa, the culture of Goa, the festivals of Goa. It is, I know there are people and some of the people here who are the history of Goa, who are trying to maintain it, take it forward, but it is a lot of, I don't know, I feel it's dying. So without much ado, I would like to introduce our guests, Prakash Kamath, senior journalist. Prakash Babu, welcome.
Yeah.
Prajal Sagadande is HOD, History, Dempe College, quite a famous figure. Third, Marius Fernandes. He is, I don't want to say the word, but let's say that he's a curator of traditional festivals. It's 50 and counting, as he just told me before the show. Marius Babu, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
And last but not the least is Tanya Shirodkar. She's an assistant professor in Dempes. Ma'am, welcome to our show. Prakash Babu, I'd like to leave you with the honors as usual.
Yeah.
Introduce our panel to our audience.
Yeah.
Prakash Babu.
First of all, we come to Marius Fernandes. You said I would not like to use the word, but people know him Goicho Festakar.
Festakar has got different connotations.
But now Goichi Festa, Goichi traditions, जावं हिंदू जावं कॅथलीक जावं मुस्लिम गांवांनी फेस्तां वेगळी वेगळी प्रत्येक सिजनाप्रमाणे प्रत्येक गांवाच्या ट्रेडिशनाप्रमाणे तशी ही फेस्तां पण खुबशे कडेन आमी पळयता काही वर्सां फाटल्यानच्या की ही फेस्तां ही फाटी पडत वतात. खंय पणसाचे फेस्त जाताले ट्रेडिशन फाटी पडलां, आंब्याचे फेस्त जाताले फाटी पडत वता. मारियसान हें रिवायव केलां गांवांनी असो हो मारियस. तो आतां ताका आनी एक ल्हानशी गोश्ट हांवें आनी जोडली. हांव डिसेबिलिटी काम करता. हांवें म्हळें ही फेस्त करता पळय ती एक्सेसिबल आनी इन्क्लुजीव सगळ्यांक घेवन करची आनी लायक अ डक टेकिंग टू वॉटर मारियसान इमिजिएटली पिकअप केलें. तो आतां खंय वतना पयलीं तें पळयता एक्सेसिबल आसा वो ना. दुसरो आमच्या बरोबर प्रोफेसर प्रजल सकरदांडे आसा जे हिस्ट्रीचे आनी गोंयची हिस्ट्री वता वत थंय कितें पळय आसा खंयचे गोंयचे पुरातन ते सांबाळ्ळा काय ना, सांबाळून जाल्यार कशें सांबाळपाचें हाजेर तांचें सदांच लक्ष. अशें हे प्रोफेसर ते हे बॅकअप करता हे फेस्तांक. म्हणटकर एका गांवान बाबा कितें ट्रेडिशन आसा कणसाचें फेस्त जाल्यार खंयच्यान आयलें कशें आयलें ह्यो गोश्टी ते सप्लिमेंट करता. कांय म्युजीक आमचें घुमट म्हणून आसा जाल्यार ताजें हें कशी हिस्ट्री कितें हांगा हो बॅकअप. आनी आमचे तानियाबाय आसा आयच्या हातूंत बायलो फुडें आयले शिवाय कसलीच गोश्ट फुडें वचना. तर आमची जेन्ना फेस्त जाता काही वेळार मारियसाक सुचता अस्तुरेचेच फेस्त अस्तुरे फुडें सुरू. अशा वेळार आमचे तानियाबाय जे डेम्पो कॉलेजीक शिकयता ते आसा आमचे बरोबर. तेवूय सगळे फेस्तांनी फुडें आमचे बरोबर अशे हे लोक.
Yeah, thanks, Prakash Babu. Now, Prajal Babu, now give us a general, Goa. You are an expert in all things Goa, or most things Goa, but all is almost impossible. But give us a general idea about Goa culture, the feast. Of course, Marius will give us more details, but तुम्ही चालू करा.
गोवा जेन्ना आमी म्हणटात तेन्ना गोंयची इमेज जी इंटरनॅशनल सर्कल्स इंटरनॅशनली नोन एक लँड ऑफ हार्मनी पीस. म्हणजे गोंयान हिंदू मुस्लिम क्रिश्चन्स दे लिव इन हार्मनी. ओवर द इयर्स दे हॅव लिव्ड इन हार्मनी. सो ह्या सगळ्यांचो मेळून जो कल्चर जाता म्हणजे हिंदू क्रिश्चन आणि मुस्लिम ह्या तिगूयांचो जो मेळून जो कल्चर जाता दॅट इज आय फील इज गोवन कल्चर. आणि जेन्ना आमी रिलिजना भितर डिवायड करनासतना एक्चुअली आमी गोंयकारपण फुडें सरता. फॉर अस गोंयकारपण इट सेल्फ इज अ रिलिजन विच इन्क्लूड्स हिंदू मुस्लिम क्रिश्चन कल्चर्स. सो ते खंय तरी मारियस फर्नांडिसाच्या फेस्टिवलाच्यान प्रोजेक्ट जाल्लें आसा आनी दॅट इज वाय द इम्पॉर्टन्स ऑफ दीस फेस्टिवल्स अँड दॅट इज वाय आय फील दॅट दीस फेस्टिवल्स 56 years already done, it should continue. I mean, that would be the true profile of Goa which the whole world wants to witness.
Yeah, Marius Babu, taking it forward from this, But let me not. We'll get into the details of the festival. How did it all start?
The year 2000, I arrived in Goa from the UK, and I'm from Samathias on Divar Island. And just about that time when I arrived, there was a festival called Festival of Flags, Bandera Festivals.
Okay.
So, as usually in villages, as soon as somebody new comes to a village, they try and pull you in. So I'm a member of the club. So I'm organizing my first fest, and I was truly shocked when I was on the committee that how the people don't have a say. And after the event, I started thinking, how did this all happen? The chief guest didn't turn up on time. There's alcohol everywhere. Yeah, and people are organizing a fest, but there is nothing that they're going to learn from this festival. There's no empowerment happening. So within 2-3 days, I came up with this idea. Whatever has happened at that fest, chief guest, my festival will not have a chief guest. Sponsors, my festival will not have a sponsor. Alcohol, there will be no alcohol. Plastic, there will be no plastic. Prizes, there will be no prizes. Competition, there will never be competition. So those are basically the commandments of our fest. And to take it forward from there was a huge challenge. In Konkani, people asung lagle soro na ani festa karan. So tujhe hole munis baita yon gele is what they said to me. But I always had something in my mind. Every festival that I saw at that time 20 years ago were controlled by men. I did not see any women. And that's where the gap was. The women, children, and the differently able community. And that's what I caught. And today every festival is actually driven by women and a few men.
Yeah, ma'am. Now let's take it forward from there, like from what he's saying about the.
So I got involved with Marius sir because these festivals that sir started off, they actually had a lot of Goan tradition in them. And as an educator, it was my responsibility to show the youth what Goa was all about. Whether it was the culture, whether it was the gumot, whether it was making mollas. These kids did not know all these things. So as an educator, I felt I was responsible to show them what Goa was all about, and more so over show them business opportunities and ventures that existed. They could stay back in Goa and come up with so many interesting ideas. Their talent was there, but probably they did not know where to use their skill set. And we curated one of an interesting paso is called Diwadechi Paso along with Marius sir. And the kids got very, very involved in literally going, exploring these places, finding information about them and coming back and taking people on these pasos. So that's what attracted me, and more so ever it was a joy because we were empowering the youth. That is the future of Goa, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. Now you're talking about the business angle. Why you are in? What do you teach? You're assistant professor.
Yes. So I'm an assistant professor of the BBA department at the Dempo College.
Okay.
And previously, my previous background was I work at the Don Bosco College and I headed the travel and tourism department.
Okay.
So from tourism studies perspective, it was very important that I did depict some interesting parts of Goa for the students. Definitely I did continue to the Dempo College, and even at the Dempo College sir has come and spoken to the students because we have a subject called Culture and Heritage Studies of Goa. And I think it's very important that through these studies we continue this education of the youth about what Goa is all about and the culture of Goa.
Prakash Bab, for you, what does Goa and its culture stand for as a journalist?
Yeah, I see it. Rightly said by Prajal Bab. That unity in diversity, this diverse culture, robust diverse culture. Catholicaची वेगवेगळी कितें कितें कल्चरल हें आसात, हिंदूची आसात, बाकीचे मुस्लिमाचे आसात, आमचे बारी ह्यो ज्यो कम्युनिटीज आहात, मार्जिनलायज कम्युनिटीज ज्यो गोंयच्यो आसात, तांचे लोकांचे वेगवेगळे कितें कल्चर्स आसात, हे सगळे आसा पळय. आनी तातूंत ही डायवर्सिटी शूड बी सस्टेन्ड. At the same time we should be united as Indians, as Goans. आणि हे म्हाका रिफ्लेक्शन दिसता. कशें दिसता तर तो गांवांत खंयच्याय वता आनी म्हणटा की हे गांवांत अमकें आसा, आतां उरला ना जाल्यार आतां जर ते दवरिना जाल्यार फुडें ते आनी वतले. एग्जाम्पल हांवें उदोळ म्हळें पणसाचें फेस्त म्हणून. आतां हांव वाचतालो काही अशें येता की नेक्स्ट अरावंड 15-20 years jackfruit will be the fruit for food. वर्ल्ड वायड
Yes.
जाल्यार तो ताजे फेस्त करता, ताजे वेरियस फेसेट्स हाडटा, एम्पावरींग फेसेट्स, इकॉनॉमीक आस्पेक्ट्स, वुमन्स इनवॉल्वमेंट, बायलो कश्यो तातूंत सस्टेन करूं शकतात, अश्यो वेगवेगळ्यो गोश्टी तो तातूंतल्यान हाडटा फुडें. मागीर इन्क्लुजन, आनी इन्क्लुजन म्हणजे आमची डिसेबिलिटी आतां थंय वता. प्रत्येक फेस्ता हे लोक येतात, ते आपूण तातूंत पार्टिसिपेट जातात, ते वस्तू विकतात, सो तांचे इकॉनॉमीक एम्पावरमेंट जाता. सो अशे वेगळे वेगळे फेसेट्स जो एक एकठांय हाडटा आनी ते जगाक दाखयता. कित्याक गोवाचे इन द नेम ऑफ टुरिजम आमी गोंयचें नांव खुबशे पेड्ड्यारी करून उडयलां. कशें केलां तर गोंया म्हणजे फक्त गोंया लोक पिवन पडटा ना, गोंयांत लोक पिवन पडचे परस ट्युरिस्ट येता ते पिवन पडटा. गोंयकार तशे पिवन रस्त्यार पडना, तो वर्रात पिता बाय एंड लार्ज. पण हे कशें केल्या की गोंय म्हणजे पिवन पडपी आनी कितें अशी जी इमेज आहा थंय हो फेस्तांनी हे दाखयना, लिकर ना, नो स्मोकींग, नो ड्रिंकींग, आनीक लोक इनवॉल्व, पिपल्स फेस्टिवल्स असो भाग. गांवांतले खंयचे खंयचे गांवांतले लोक मडकय येतात आनी फेस्त करतात. हे लोकांक केन्ना आमी भायर मेळिल्ले आसता पूण थंय ते येतात. म्हणटकर हो जे ऑल आस्पेक्ट्स गोवननेस, बरो मरे एकामेकाक मेळप वॉर्मली, हें गोंयकारपण. म्हणून हे सगळें गोंयकारपण थंय रिफ्लेक्ट जाता. म्हणून हांव एज अ हिंदूचो करस्पोंडंट हांव तागेली फेस्तां कवर करतालो, तागेले फोटो हिंदूक धाडटालो. आनी तेन्नाच्यान म्हाका मारियस मेळचे पयलींच हातूंक मेळिल्लो. पण असो एक आसा म्हणून जेन्ना मेळ्ळो तेन्ना इट वॉज ताजे नेवर लुक्ड बॅक.
Okay, Prakash Babu. Yeah, thanks. Marius, I don't know. I can't help noticing that there is a gumot there. Then there is a, I don't know, beer mug. Gurguret is there. Then dhupache.
Yeah. So no.
What is this?
I'll fast forward. So the next festival that's coming up is going to be held in the village of Pilen in Baltes.
Okay.
So a few months ago, the parish priest of that village came to meet me in Panjim and said, "Can you give us a fest? It's like shopping. Can you give us a fest?" I asked, "Father, where do you come from?" He said, "Pilen." So we said, and within 5 minutes, I came up with a name for him for that fest called Matieche Fest, celebrating the soil of Goa. And there was a reason for that. In year 1918, the last pandemic around the world, called the Spanish flu, had hit that village really hard, Pilen.
And also Old Goa, I think, no?
Yeah, whole of Goa.
Olga Poili.
Yeah, but the whole of Goa had hit, and Pilen, the people left. A lot of them died and left, and they moved to a place called Vade Sukur, Duler, Sholim. And which people are these? The potters. So one of the very first potter villages in Goa was Pilen. Today they've got nothing there. So we offered that name to Father. He went back, rang me, called me back, "Yes, Matieche Fest is ready." So we are probably the very few people in the whole world that eat food from a mud plate, drink water from a gurguret, play our music from a gumot, drink our tea from the cup. Yeah,
Yes.
and keep away mosquitoes from a hotel. Yeah, so that is actually the fest. The fest is coming, it's all ready, and the whole village are involved. And as Prakash Bab said, and Prajal and Tanya are saying, our festivals are not hiring and firing people. We have to go and invest time. So I was telling them earlier, tomorrow I'm actually moving to Pilen, and I'll be settling there for a month.
When is the
2nd of October.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'll be settling, living in that village, because we're going to have workshops now in the village. Look for real talent and invest in them for the future. It's so easy to get money from sponsors and hire people for the day, and then we all go back. Nobody's empowered. Here people are going to be empowered. We've already had a Molla workshop in Pilen. We're going to be having a Rotesa workshop soon, and lots of workshops are coming up. And out of that camp, 5-day camp starting on the 26th of September, everything what we get from this camp will be part of the festival.
Okay.
So, and I'm hoping that it will sustain itself in future years. If we train, about 300 people are being trained.
In pottery?
All sorts.
Okay.
Because it's not only pottery now. The potters can dance. The potters can sing. I mean, I'm just saying. So all sorts of things are going to be on the table. And the big deal is we don't have any funding. We don't take funding. Yeah. So it's about like-minded people coming together. Yeah. And people have come. The whole village is with us at the moment. Yeah. So we just do not know what is going to happen on the day, but something is going to happen. And they are already ready. They'll be cooking food. And one new thing I have to mention here is going to be some called a zero waste festival.
Yes.
Because we have to be new now, thinking wise, supporting the government of Goa and India. There will be food available, but we will be not providing any plates. Anybody who's going to come for the fest has to bring their own plates.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wash it, we'll have water there, wash it and take it back. So there will be no waste. Yeah, people ask for plastic plates, and then I said this festival, we have to make a change. So the villages of Pilan will be bringing their own plates, they'll be bringing their own cups. And we invite everybody attending the fest to bring their own. So then you wash and take it back.
I'm sure for 365 we will pass this message along. But about Pilan, what is Pilan? Like he's talking about pottery and all, but like we don't hear much about from the history. Is there anything historically?
In fact, I was just talking to Marius. The Pilan and now कशाला आता अजून ते कशाला म्हाका खबर ना सगळे विलेजींची नांवां चडशे रिसर्च केला तातूंत म्हाका ते मिनींग कळ्ळा पण ही कशी विलेज पिलेण हे शब्द कित्या वयल्यान आयलो तो अजून पर्यंत म्हाका खबर ना सो इट इज अ मिस्ट्री फॉर मी सो मे बी थ्रू दिस फेस्टिवल I might learn by interacting with the villagers. We don't know folklore anything, but I feel that it is a very richly natural heritage. Pilanchi as a cultural heritage is very beautiful. There is the Saule lake is there. Then एक underground tunnel on the Pilan में and we had adopted that village for as part of our Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. So we got the tunnel, that underground tunnel explored. So we went inside and we saw that, and the sarpanch bhi sagre aile. So we saw that, you know, that underground tunnel is there. Magir ek हे आसा थंय water channel कशें आसा. Then there is that church of Pilan. Goan the Baptist Church of the 16th century. So like that culturally and one statue of one Jain Tirthankar is there. So many things, the birds and you know, so many things, heritage houses are there in Pilan, but it is not so much famous in Goa. Like people don't know much about Pilan. Okay, they may know about Porvorim, which is a ward of Sukur. They know about Sukur. In fact, Marius's festival, most of the festivals were in Sukur. So I'm very happy that he's organizing it in Pilan, because this is a new village where people will be able to explore. The old village will be revisiting, looking at anew. So I feel this festival is important.
I just want now this little bit of like gossip what we hear. Now there is a Pilan is there, no? I don't know, but we hear lots of talk that there was a buried treasure, the pots of gold when people build. Is it true? You heard anything?
No, that's what that tunnel is there, na? That underground tunnel we saw.
Okay.
We went through that underground tunnel, and ते जे area full just as forested area asa, आणि त्या एरियान ते pots of gold must be buried. अशे किती किती अशे लोक उलयतात, but we don't know. Maybe if we start digging as part of Marius's festival, we may find pot of gold.
So we're going to be having something called Balkanch or Ghazali at that festival. Okay. So there we are hoping to get 2-3 historians, and we'll have a chit chat like this to find out the actual history of that village. It's got a very fascinating history. I've been there for a month now talking to people. Most of the people are not from Pilan. They've come over from Karamboli.
Karamboli?
And they build a barn. So all that work is in progress at the moment to find the actual history of that village. But it's a fascinating village to work in. So I'm looking forward from next week to live in that village.
Yeah, but Marius, one thing I would say, most of our villages in Goa, that I'm sure Prajwal will fully support me on that. Most of our villages have got a lot of history.
Yes.
Lot. Because, and see now, Pilan, after Pilan, you come to like Kalangut, Kandoli, all that area. But so much of history is there. Prajwal and Marius, and then, you know, it's not documented. Nothing is documented. Nothing in see now, like you know. Okay, now you are going to like, you know, the troubadours of old, you will be, it's not an oral history any longer. It is digital, it is X, it is Y. But none of this has, I know I'm diverting. Nothing is even of the festival. Now Marius is there. Okay, fine, we'll say he's taking. Next, who? What is going to happen? Is it documented? Is that see, even Reliance has already started its, you know, he started giving his kids What's
Yeah.
going to happen about all these feasts? and
Just
this
before
culture?
Marius comes in, I agree with you very much.
Yeah.
But because of this fest, this kind of interest is generated in the younger people.
Yeah.
Students, researchers who come,
Yeah.
they will take it up.
But documentation.
Yes,
and
because we
that is a
Goans
different
don't
matter.
document.
But it's a different matter.
It is
See, now, for
needed to be
example,
done.
See, I am doing my PhD. I will do X. Like Pravil Babu is doing it. We'll do, it remains as a
Document.
300,
Yeah.
400 page thing. It's go okay once in a way. There was one Marius. Somebody like 500. There was one Marius. There was one Prakash. But that will be it. But the next generation, that's not happening, right?
Okay, I'll just add something here. So that has worried me because the moment I stop,
Yes.
not that there are no people, this type of thing, very few people will come forward
Exactly,
to do
that's
because
my
there's no
point.
money. So I
Commercial
must.
thing, anybody comes.
Yeah, so I myself,
It gets lost,
I'm inviting you all today. I myself, after the fest, second fest, on the 4th of October, I'll be opening, it sounds crude, but the name of the museum is going to be called Festakar and Gumot Museum. Yeah. The place is all ready, it's going to be in my house in Samathias.
Okay.
Yeah, and all this type of things will be in there, and the reason is, every day I get people visiting my place unannounced. They just turn up saying, we've seen you on social media here, there. We want to meet you. And exactly for that reason, there's nothing documented. 56 festivals later, there
And
is
one
no
very
documentation.
important,
No documentation.
maybe one
No documents at all. Nothing.
One very important thing that has come out of
We
these
should start
festivals,
from
the
there.
Marius' festivals, is that the Gumot got declared as a state heritage music
Yes.
instrument.
At long last.
We met the art and culture minister Goan and we prevailed upon him. We had several meetings with him.
Yeah.
So as a result of this Gumtaje fest, that is a very positive outcome.
Very
So it is.
Gumot
There are a
is
lot of other positive. outcomes.
See, I'm not denying all this. All
Yeah,
this will
but
happen.
where is the documentation?
Now see,
No.
he's done. Marius has done 56 festivals. 57th is coming up, or is this the
Yeah,
way?
57.
One document is
57.
there in that form of a book.
No, but that's what I don't know. I feel because like we do shows on a regular basis. Every week we do one. I do 1 or 2 shows every week. Now 1 year back, what show I've done? I don't remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whoever.
So I'll just add something else here. So I've been struggling with this for the last few weeks, months actually, that if I stop, what is going to happen to all these things that's in my head? Yeah, besides.
It's a very fair point.
Yeah, and it's not only for Goans here. I shouldn't say this, but I will. Whatever is happening in America, UK, around the world, in the Goan world, they have this thing called World Goa Day, which
Yeah.
I was part myself. I started it in Goa in the year 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, today on social media, whatever. People around the world actually check our festivals on social media
Yeah,
and
yes.
replicate it. Even last week, somebody somewhere celebrated the Patayanja Fest in London.
That's exactly I was going to tell you.
I mean, out of nowhere.
because the newly elected councillor from Swindon,
Yeah.
she was on our show last week.
Yeah.
She was telling us, no, every festival we do, including Patay. That's what she said.
Yeah, they've
Last week she
taken.
was
Yeah,
saying-
even the Bandera has been taken, so it's been copied. Yeah,
Yes.
abroad, but for other reasons, it's basically to make money abroad.
Whatever.
Yeah, but it's
But
being
at least
done.
it's being done.
Yeah, so these things are being done, but here we don't have documentation. So I'm on the lookout for somebody to do a Wikipedia page, because there is at least 800 articles written over the last 20 years. At least if that can be put on a page for future generation to look at, for information. Because at the moment, people cannot find any information, especially if you live in Goa. We know Patayanja Fest, Kazunja Fest, Andranja Fest, Gumtanja Fest, but you're from abroad, you're not going to know these names. So all this will be lost.
Okay, anyway, this we can discuss this
Yeah.
later. Now we've almost run out of time. Ma'am, now you have got a business background, business angle.
Yes, yes.
Now I'm not talking about making money. Making
Right.
money, anybody can. It's not that difficult. I mean,
Right.
difficult but not that difficult. But this type of a thing, which is something that we should do, I think.
So
don't
we
you think?
did get some students involved in documentation, and the previous fest which we had some time back, the Ambiache fest, we did get the kids to get involved, and they have documented it, right from photographs to content, what exactly happened. They've interviewed people, so those recordings, all that have been kept ready. Now the only idea is how do we make it available to everybody, and that's why Sir also was talking about
That,
Wikipedia.
It's not so difficult actually. it's really not difficult as long as you know whom to approach.
Yes, yes.
And that,
So-
yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just going to say projects. We had started this. Can you remember the first time we had met?
2001.
Yeah, I can tell them how we met.
2001, and then now Marius, he came to, he returned to Goa in 2000, and in 2001 we met, and that is the time he had organized a camp for the students of the children of Diwar. It was a summer camp, and that's when he had invited me to get talk on history and heritage. And he and also like that many camps he organized later on for the students, for the kids, and not only from Diwar, from other places also. And then so many of these fests like Gumot was celebrated, Patoyo was celebrated, Ambo, Kazu, Pornos, I think everything was celebrated through these various festivals. So what I feel is this is something unique, like each aspect of Goan heritage was celebrated in the form of festival, where people from all parts of the world came.
But that's my point. All this is happening. But like, so for example, 20 years and we'll say, Arey,
Correct.
this is there, this was there, and it should be continued. That is my point. Little
I mean, it's a fair point, and there is a risk. The moment I stop all this, you know how it is in Goa and around the world. Persons out, and within a year everything is forgotten.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Thanks. It was a real pleasure hosting you all, Marius Bab, Prajwal Bab, Prakash Bab, Tanya. You all are all celebrities in your own way, and it was my pleasure to host you all on my show. And Goa 365 will be with you all in any of your future endeavors.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
Interesting. This is Goa, this is culture. Hopefully we will be able to take this forward in some way or the other. Thanks again for coming on our show, and keep watching Goa 365.